Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to xoquetails. Yes, we are starting a new series focused on the members of our community. We'll have a drink. We'll get to know a little bit more about them. And today I'm honored to be joined by JT Russell. Thanks for coming on.
I am super pumped. This is gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I don't know. I need like a badge or something. I feel honored to get the inaugural seat.
Definitely, definitely. And cheers.
Salute. Cheers indeed.
I was thinking we might need to come up with like a Keyforge version of Cheers. I was trying to think through like what cards would make a good version of Cheers, like
Mm.
Quixo or
Yeah, on the bad days, you're like, oh, heart of the forest, and you take it
yeah.
home.
Yeah, and an extra special thanks to JT Russell who came up with the idea and the name for Zocktails. I'm gonna just start
hmm
outsourcing all my work to you.
the puns are the puns are right up my alley. I got puns for days. I don't know.
Excellent.
Yep.
Yes. So yeah, let's kick things off. What are you drinking tonight?
Uh-huh. So, I have here an old fashioned, and I was feeling the citrus this time around. So, ooh, you can see it kind of coming front and center. A nice wedge of actual lemon in yeah, floating around in there. And I used some blood orange bitters too. Kind of
Ooh,
muddled that all up with my syrup and shaken with some ice and tossed over ice there. And I went with the bullet bourbon this time. Bullet bourbon is kind
that's
of my
always solid.
go-to cocktail bourbon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and, I guess also in there, kind of adding some color and, a little bit of, sweetness for the end, you've got some maraschino cherries. I like the, Luxardo cherries, but, throw a little bit of that syrup in there too, makes it nice and deep color, so yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. No, that sounds good. And I'm trying to match my drink with my guest each episode. So I'm also drinking an old fashioned. Mine's a little bit different. Mine's based off of Maker's Mark, although Bullet is great too. And if I want to go fancy, I'll do a Woodford Reserve Double Oaked, which is
Mhm.
very solid, but I don't always have it on hand. And so, healthy dose of Maker's Mark, a few good squirts of Angostura bitters, and then just one dash of the orange bitters.
Okay.
Um, some simple syrup, some maraschino cherries, and also some maraschino cherry juice. Although I also prefer bada bing cherries. Just didn't have any on hand.
You know, I learned something interesting just the other day about the, and I always pronounce the name wrong, Angostina bitters, but you know the ones I mean. I mean, obviously you know the ones I mean because you're using them, but, they've got that iconic bottle with the paper that goes way up too high, and it
Yeah.
always gets wrapped around kinda funny, but I learned just this week that, the people who designed the label and the people who designed the bottle, I think it was actually a pair of brothers, and they designed them independently, and they showed up the day when they came to put the labels on the bottles, and they went, "Oh, that doesn't really fit." And, the marketing people just said, "Throw it on, it's gonna be a thing, and people are gonna love it," and to this day, they leave it that way. So it's just
Oh, that's an awesome story. I mean, that's like sloppy
Mhm.
marketing or the marketing
Yeah,
of sloppy done well.
it's
So,
done well.
um, you guys know a little bit thing or two about that.
If you can embrace that brand and own it, then you can, you can get away with an awful lot, like labels that go up over the side of your bottle. Yep,
That's pretty
yep.
awesome. And a shout out to the chat. What's up, Quick Draw, Dinobot? Nice to see you all.
Mhm. Cheers. And well, yeah, maybe if anybody's got ideas for what a good cheers or salute would be. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let us know
Mhm.
or hashtag DataForge on the ABR Discord.
Right
Maybe
on.
we'll have to ask ChatGPT.
That'd be funny. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ah.
So speaking of cheers with Keyforge, what about having a drink in Keyforge?
Mm-hmm.
What creature would you want to have a drink with?
Mm-hmm. Um, I think there's like two ways I could go with this. So I can get the first one out of the way real quick. And that's Infernus. And I'd say, Furnace, hey man, sit down, have a drink. You need to calm down, buddy.
Oh, I
you know.
thought you were gonna purge something after drinking with Infernus.
Oh, I guess that's the other way. Hopefully we're keeping it classy. I don't know.
Not if you're
uh,
hanging out with Infernus.
yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. But so if it's gonna be an old fashioned, I think it's gotta be something from Coda. Um, And, in kind of getting ready to come on chat with you, I was reading up on the old fashioned because it's been maybe my go-to drink for a while, but I never really stopped to, think about the origins of it or even the name. And I guess the name actually comes from people going into bars and saying, "Hey, make me it like they used to do in the old days, the old-fashioned way." And now we have the name and it's stuck.
Huh,
So going back to Coda,
nice.
keeping it old-fashioned, uh, but it also turns out there are some connotations that go with it. So not only is the old fashioned say that you're maybe more traditional type if it's a drink that you order, but you also like taking risks and like a challenge. So that to me sounds an awful lot like Chota Hazri. And if there's anybody that you want to be your buddy, is Chota Hazri.
Oh yeah,
so so that's
definitely
what I'm
get
going
them
with.
liquored up so they show up at the right time. Yeah,
hmm
I like
hmm
it. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. So honorable mention to Infernus, but not in the best of ways.
Oh, and we got some
Yep.
really good comments from the chat here. Dinobot says, "Yeah, it's got to be a Brobnar phase because they have the bruise." And Quickdraw says, "Skull." That's a great one. Skull. And
Yeah.
yeah, it
I
already
yeah.
is like a Scandinavian cheers, so it's perfect.
Okay. So this is good. So this makes a lot of sense for Cheers. I was gonna say I think the Brobner they're the craft brew drinkers. I don't think they're ordering an old fashioned. Maybe.
Oh,
Maybe
that's
not.
very true. Yeah,
Mhm. But Skull's a good one. That's
beer
good.
and
And I like
mead, I
Smash.
think. Is-
Beer and mead.
Yep.
hmm They like the fermented drinks for sure.
Yeah.
hmm Smelled very.
Yeah,
uh,
they have 5 or 6 different spellings just on the wiki, so add the Keyforge one, you're good.
no kidding. We're getting an education here. I like it.
Yeah. You're bringing some history. It's get to learn a lot here.
Yeah. So did you have a creature in mind when you hear it old fashioned? Are you like, okay, I mean, old Bruno. You're like, okay, old Bruno, but that's an easy one. You can't say old Bruno.
I'm drinking old fashioned. I mean, like obviously, I'm first I was thinking about who likes to drink in the Keyforge world, and of course Merkins is holding a drink, and
hmm
Merkins, they got to be like almost like the most interesting man in the world because they're always playing out of somebody else's purse or hand or whatever, right?
Yep.
So that they have some stories. I bet they would be fun. Um, but it doesn't look like they're drinking an old fashioned. But maybe it's the new old fashioned from the Keyforge world. You never know.
Well, it is a versatile drink. You when you go into a bar or I mean anywhere that maybe a fancier place that's got their own spin on an old fashioned. They're not just going to kind of play it right down the middle. I mean, I've had old fashions with kind of cucumber and pepper that were delicious,
Mm.
and there's just a lot of very versatile drink, a lot of ways you can take it. So
Yeah,
you could lean
definitely.
into that aspect. Hmm.
And there you can have it with different types of liquor, and I've had some really good um, smoked ones with maple bourbon or something, and with bacon in it. And at first I was like, this isn't gonna be good, but we'll try it. And it was pretty good actually.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Might be that might be a try to believe it sort of one for me, but I'll take your word for now.
Ooh, versatile. Dinobot calling out the new keywords in the rule book.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. As long as it's not splash, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I notice, normally while you're streaming Sloppy Lab Work, it seems like you have a drink.
Hmm.
And I always do when I'm streaming as well. But that also means I have a drink when I'm playing my NKFL matches because I always try and stream them. Unless it's earlier in the day because you have to handle a lot of different time zones. Uh,
Sure.
do you like to have a drink when you're playing your Keyforge?
Only with quick draw on our streams because they're easy wins, and I can just kind of
Quick wins with quick
sma-
draw.
smash skull.
Skull.
Oh, oh, man. Oh, the I was gonna say the chat count just went down from 10 to 9 people. No, but on occasion, not terribly often, mostly because I do I do schedule most of my games, target them for kind of afternoon if I can. Um, and then have to be somewhat of a working professional afterwards. um, but most often, if it is, it will probably be on a one of our bottom of the beaker streamed games, or a late night game. But uh, I guess if I don't know, maybe this is playing into my own personal style as a player too. But I don't need a whole lot of tempting to go into the dubious line with the big payoff.
Oh yeah, right.
So so it may not be the best idea for me always either.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the best idea for me either. I should do a study,
Mhm,
in the vein of sloppy lab work. But it seems to have worked out
mhm.
okay. I NKFL's been going pretty good. I'm gonna get destroyed this season, but
Well, I mean, you made it to diamond doing something right,
that's
so
an
that's
accomplishment just getting there. So it's okay if I lose the rest of my games. But um,
mhm,
I feel like it does help me because I do in my head make a big deal about these matches. Like I want to do well in the NKFL, and so it does help me chill out a little bit. So that's
mhm.
helpful. But yeah, I probably also make some poor decisions that I don't know about. And usually I'm playing at night and I'm already tired with work and kids and
Mhm.
long weeks, and this will make me even more tired. So, eh, probably probably a little bit suspect.
Yeah, yeah, be an interesting study. And I mean, on top of that, it's not something that folks often talk about, but, I do think that streaming is sort of a muscle that you have to build up, and being able to, like, play at the top of your game while narrating, while talking through your thoughts, and, like, oftentimes you get to a point and you're like, "Oh, I could go on the tank on this, but I feel like I have to keep things moving along." You know? So it's tough too, adding, like, an extra wrinkle, but,
Yeah,
yeah,
I've definitely
yeah.
had those nights where I'm just like, oh man, I'm just like thinking, I'm not saying anything. I'm just like thinking for a while, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm streaming.
That'll happen, but, it makes for good content, makes for good content when you realize and people are like, "Oh, this is like a real person, playing games," so it's fun, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And
There's
I have to give you some credit too. You've been, you've, like, really raising the bar. I don't know, we were super sloppy. I would I would aspire to level up some as well, but I'm always impressed to see the new wrinkles and new additions that you keep layering in. So very cool,
Yeah,
very
well,
cool.
I mean, all I gotta say is,
This is Keyforge.
which you probably didn't hear, but that said, this is Keyforge, because you can't hear the audio output of my computer. But yeah, and it's not only me. I get inspired by everybody. Dinobot's been doing a ton,
Hmm.
not only with his stream but also with his YouTubes. Lots of awesome editing stuff. Um, yeah, and so it's cool. We can all kind of push each other and improve, and it's fun to have some little cool things out there.
Totally,
Yep.
totally.
Okay, this next one has
Hmm.
been talked about a lot, and I definitely want to ask maybe a few people about this. But in coding, there's a so-called Balmer Peak, and if you
Hmm.
haven't heard about it, I'm gonna show everybody here in chat. Display the comic from XKCD. Um, but the Balmer Peak is the level of blood alcohol concentration where your programming skill skyrockets. And before that, it's, all right. After that is really bad. So does Keyforge have a Balmer Peak? And what would it be called?
Hmm. Ooh. A couple names that jump to mind. I got Kirby's Cliff, which is probably closer to the impact on me. And I think you could probably lump like maybe something like the downward spiral, maybe golden,
Oh.
but still downward. It'd be pretty good. Um, uh, how about like uh, apogee of Grisp? Apogee of Grisp. It's a little wordy.
Oh,
It's a little wordy,
that's
but
pretty
it
good.
implies a little bit more of a peak and
Yeah,
a climb than just downward. Yeah. Um, so I don't know who else will take a swing at that one, but maybe we'll set the bar there. Apogee of Grisp is pretty good. I feel like that's
I
pretty
like
good.
that. I like that. I need to take some notes and keep track of these. And then after we have a whole bunch of these, we can have a vote.
There you go.
Apogee of Grisk. Yeah, I was thinking about it. It's like, oh, how many things in Keyforge are talking about the top of something, Acme, the Apex, there's a rooftop laboratory, but
Hmm. Yeah, it's tricky there. I did kind of pass through. Those ones jumped out at me, but not there weren't a ton. There weren't a ton.
yeah,
It's a tough one. So we'll see if folks rise to the challenge.
I
But
like it.
maybe when we get to the ends of our own um, beverages here, all the ideas will flow. You know?
That always helps.
Hmm. Hmm.
Good, but
Yeah.
one of the things that's so awesome about Keyforge is the community. And who makes up the community but all of us people? And so it'd be good to get to know a little bit more about people in the community, such as yourself. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into Keyforge, and why, and what makes you so passionate about it that you stream on it and do a whole bunch of other cool stuff.
Mm. Yeah. Totally. So. Uh, I've been a long time Magic the Gathering player. Probably not too unfamiliar to most Keyforge players, right? But I started playing Magic in around 1994. Um, Played it on and off competitively for a long time, casually for a long time, both for a long time. And then when Keyforge kind of came out, when Call of the Archons kind of was hitting shelves, I was in a little bit of a lull in like my competitive play for Keyforge and or for sorry for Magic, and was kind of looking around for some other games to try and really kind of lean into. And a buddy of mine said, "Hey, like try out this new Richard Garfield game. It's pretty sweet." and I took a look at the artwork, and I'm like, "Yeah, this looks kinda goofy." But I played it, and I was like, "You know what? It hits the perfect note," uh, and something about playing Wild Wormhole, like, the first time I played Wild Wormhole, I was like, this game is awesome." Like, like, "This game is awesome." And I showed it to my brother, and, I think my brother had probably a similar immediate reaction to me. He's like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool." Had a few interactions that really clicked with him, and then we kinda went our separate ways, uh, and then flash forward, a month or 2, I got back together with my brother, and I was like, "Hey, man, you wanna play this Keyforge game again?" He's like, "Oh, look at this," and he pulls out, like, a backpack. It's got all these decks. He's got, hundreds of decks on him, like, all these secondary market prospects, and I still have the, like, starters. I was like, "Okay, let's go." But that was a big thing for me because, we really, uh it really was a thing that we both enjoyed, and then we kinda fed off of each other's passion for a while in the early days, and, traveled to some vault tours together, so me really falling in love with the game, a lot of it was, like, getting that time and that connection, and, I mean, the game itself, is just so addictive, so much fun to
Oh yeah.
play. I mean, uh, and, scratches the itch that I was looking to scratch from kind of putting down, MTG as a competitive outlet, while also giving me kind of the, like, social kind of casual gameplay, outlet that I was still kind of getting there, but dwindling down. Um, and now I'm kind of like, I'm all in, man. Like, let's go. I'm on the submarine. You can't get off the submarine.
Yeah, that's great. I like it.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
we have a question from the chat too. At first I didn't understand it because I've never played Magic, and then I was like, "Oh
Oh,
yeah." So what is your favorite plane?
favorite plane of Magic. Hey, I'm old school. I'm drinking an old fashioned. Can I say anything other than Dominaria? Like the OG plane, baby. Let's go. Yeah,
Nice.
and I guess one more shout out to the folks out there. I don't want to make this an MTG stream, but there was just an awesome, like, late '90s, uh, uh, PC game called, like, Chandelar, Duels of the Planeswalker. I don't know. It was
Duels of
just
the
like the pinnacle
Planeswalker.
of like '90s awesome, PC, games. So someday Keyforge will have its own, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was very different than like a sit down and do a duel. It was like the wander around, bump into kind of bump into uh, folks in a like a Pokemon kind of way.
That's
But
cool. Yeah, I was just having like, man, I don't remember if it was a dream or a shower thought or something, but I was like, what if we had an open world video game in the Keyforge
hmm
universe? How amazing would that be? Because I love like open world games, Red Dead Redemption and all those, but I was like, the
hmm
Keyforge universe has everything. How nuts would that be?
super cool. And I mean, so I guess the way this played is you were a mage, right? And you'd duel folks and pick up new spells, add them to your deck. I don't know. I guess you could sort of level up an alliance list or something, but it'd be interesting to think about. Or maybe you just accumulate more decks and you have, your hexad lineup and you keep crafting it or something. I don't know. It could be fun. Different
Yeah,
archons. I don't
that'd
know.
be interesting.
Hmm.
And quick draw, you save that comment for your interview, okay? And what's up, Ketzer? Nice to see you.
Quick draw already showing me up. Dang, that's a good one. That's a good one. Won't
Yeah.
spoil it though. Won't spoil it. Yeah.
Awesome. And now, of course, you stream Tuesday nights with Sloppy Labwork. Quick Draw is often your co-pilot, although you have had a whole bunch of people from the Sloppy Labwork team and outside your team on the stream. You also release it as a podcast, The Bottom of the Beaker. You put a lot of time into Keyforge. Like, tell me why. Why do you put so much time into it? What do you get out of it?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question, and we really have been having a lot of fun, with the streaming and putting it out as a podcast and even some of the games though. Gonna try and pick those up for this season in the NKFL too. But I guess I personally kind of would go in swings of really wanting to like go heavy on uh, uh, playing, and then I'd have a period where I'd go heavy on uh, more content creation. And for a long time, that was um, I would build tools or some things. There was some kind of a lot of half finished projects in the Sloppy Lab Work site. Like at one point, I had made a I think it was a coat. It was some coat season, and and there was this drama over deck registration and verification photos, and I was just like, this is not a problem that we should be dealing with like mid-season. Like we could fix this with technology, And so
Yeah.
I went into the tank. I made this like computer vision thing where you could like upload a photo and it would verify the deck and all this stuff. And then people were like, yeah, but it's just like nobody cared. Which is the story of the software engineer's life. I don't
Right.
know. But I guess that was a long-winded way of saying it's really nice to have different outlets and different ways that you can invest your time, because if you feel like you're uh, I don't know, pushing too hard on one and need to kind of shift and diversify kind of your efforts and energies, then you kind of have those. So this has been really great because I can have a week where maybe I don't play a ton of games, but I can really go heavily on research, and that's a lot of fun. But I'm still kind of immersed in the game and chatting with the teammates, and kind of still kind of loving that. But uh, yeah, I mean, that's kind of really how it started. Now I'm just really enjoying kind of doing those things with the folks that I'm doing them with, and it also helps that the folks, getting seeing folks enjoying the output too is also really rewarding and cool. Like, uh, I built software for a long time. Uh, the random access archives really simple utility, which is essentially a glorified uh, random number picker, has like gotten more use than most of the stuff that I've built in my career.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, but cool. Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we need to get that in ABR week sometime. We
Oh,
haven't had
that would
it
be
in
fun.
ABR yet, so maybe next season. Random access archives. Yeah.
There you
Yeah,
go.
and no, I think you and your team I really look up to. Number one, you're all amazing players, and really, I think are students of the game.
Mm.
And do your homework for your matches too, which is always scary to play against any of you. But yeah, all your side projects too really add a lot to the community, and whether it's random access archives or I know at one point you were like looking for different language decks and had a whole project
Hmm.
that you were working on there, and yeah, it's you're a really inspiration and a great value to the community.
No, I appreciate you saying that. I'm happy to do it. Like, I don't do it for any reason other than that it's hopefully appreciated, but gives me joy to do. And the community has been, well, I mean, let's be honest, the last few years were not terribly fun for lots of folks, and you know, uh, I don't know. It was playing Keyforge, and like I don't know if this is a weird story or not, but I was traveling in Korea for a couple months, mid early to 2020, and was like, I got to keep going to the Time Shapers SASCAP weekly. So I was getting up at like 4 a.m. because I was like, those guys are great. Like, I'm not gonna miss it.
That is
but
dedication. Yeah,
but
I love
that
it.
was just great peeps, and just like awesome game, great peeps, and yeah, I don't know, love to be able to give back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And of course, with the bottom
Mhm.
of the beaker, you're up to 36 episodes now. I mean, what's very impressive is if you guys have started and every week, like a clock, you've been delivering. So how do you feel that's gone? And
Mm.
are you happy with kind of the content you produced and kind of how people have responded to it?
Ooh, I guess I should turn it around because, we haven't done the market research to see. I hope folks are listening. But, it's been a lot of fun, and, we didn't go in with any, expectations, or at least I didn't. I guess, uh, maybe Quick Draw can chime in too. I see him in the chat. But, yeah, didn't go in with really expectations or goals in terms of, viewer counts or followers or anything like that. We actually, to be perfectly honest, uh, the idea for it and initial plans for it, um, were way long ago, like way before we started, uh, before Ghost Galaxy was kind of a twinkle on the scene, and we kind of said, hey, like, I think we have some good ideas, maybe, but really what we have is kind of enthusiasm and and kind of love, and like we could share that, and that would be enough if that's all we can share. And we even had had some talks with the sanctimonious some of the sanctimonious previous hosts, and we're like, oh, should we do you want to pass the mantle for this name, and didn't feel like that was really right, um uh but I mean, I don't know. I guess I still don't have any goals. We get up and do it every week because it's still really fun, and as long as it's still fun, like, we're gonna keep doing it.
No, it's
Yeah.
impressive. You do it every week, and I enjoy it. Uh, like with the time change, because I'm in Arizona and we don't change time. With the time change
Mhm.
now, it's harder for me to catch all of it live. I try and catch it where I can, but I always enjoy it, and I have to go back and be a VOD watching scrub. But but yeah,
I
I
I,
love
uh
it. I think it's great.
I appreciate that, and I mean, I've said this to you, but I should say it here. I don't miss the Data Forge stream the day after, but and sometimes I'm too late because you do usually do it past my bedtime, but I always catch it afterwards, and I'm like, when you get into the fresh marks, I'm like looking up these decks. Is it still for sale? Like, okay, put an offer.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes, I do it every week, and maybe now with Socktails, I'll do it, every other week or whatever. But sometimes
Mhm.
I'm like, oh man, some of these are gone before I even have my stream. But it's still good to just get a sense of the secondary market, which was the idea. So that's fun.
Mhm.
Um, One thing that's been really cool with the bottom of the beaker, though, at least up until maybe the last episode or two, is like I think all your content is kind of evergreen, right? It's like you're talking about formats, and all of that is going to be valuable no matter when somebody listens to it. Which is
Mhm.
really impressive, and it's almost like people still refer to bouncing death cork for at least some of the base principles that they talk about, even though the game's moved on and you know it's not necessarily as all their topics aren't really on point anymore. But going over the formats and everything, I think that's going to be evergreen. So it's like I think it's not only great content right now and good for our community, but also hopefully this picks up, with Ghost Galaxy. I think it's going to be a great resource for new players in the future.
Oh, cool. No, I appreciate you saying that too. We actually started the show, and I think for the first handful of episodes, we were like, well, we'll do a news segment, and touch on things, and kind of felt like, I don't know if we're doing the news things justice, and also we'd rather focus, just for where our own interests were, on some of the evergreen topics. Um, yeah, this past week we did a quick fire on the rules changes, um,
I liked it.
or the new rule book, which was definitely more like newsy than we typically do or plan to do or have done or would plan to do. But kind of felt like, well, I don't know if anybody's going to be really talking about anything else, and we're not talking about anything else. So let's just get it out there, and have the conversation. So I think it was cool, and I think uh, actually I really enjoyed that stream, and I think the folks who are just listening to the audio may miss out because I think we had some really cool conversation and insights on the game portion.
Mm.
Yeah, that was related to the content, but maybe more kind of strategy and game related than news related. But I digress. But yeah, it's an intentional thing. I'm sure we'll do it from time to time. But yeah, the focus is kind of probably going to be on hopefully the evergreen topics.
Yeah, yeah, and you've done that well. But I did like the especially since it was just released, diving into the rules. I think sometimes it's cool to be like you're the first content out there that's talking about it, and probably
Hmm.
there's not going to be a whole bunch talking about it. So I don't know. It's good.
We'll be yeah, we're giving you. I think we made this joke on stream, but we were joking that we were getting all the rules wrong, giving the Ask a Judge feature on the
Oh
Bad
yeah,
Penny
yeah.
Press lots of content.
I did ask Blinking Line a question that came up on your stream from several weeks ago about when you play the Igor, can you order the discard? Because that came up on your stream, and I was
Yep.
like, yeah, I want to know that too. And he said it's not clear right now, but he would rule that you can order them.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that makes it to the rules section of Bad Penny Press. I don't know, but
Yeah. It's interesting too because Keyforge is in kind of or has a relationship with its rules that Magic did maybe in the early 2000s or late 1990s. And most of these interactions, you're like, I get what it's trying to do. Like, we can figure it out. But there are some edge cases where you're like, I don't know. And I went really deep on the MTG rules. Like, I pursued kind of like a judge track for a while. Um, uh, but I will not claim to know the Keyforge rules as in depth. And some of these come up, and I'm like, yeah, if this were an MTG scenario and something instructed me to draw X cards, well, okay, that's a shorthand for draw five. Maybe if Igor is reveal one at a time, or reveal three, then that's a shorthand for one at a time, and you keep the same order. I don't know, but I think if you asked me in in put me on the spot and I was head judge at a Keyforge event, I'd be like, no, look at them and do the order thing as you will. That kind of makes sense. So that's cool. But Blinking Line's a great resource to have available to the community as well. So really, really appreciate all that they do too.
yeah, no, we're lucky. He helps out the community a ton, and then of course Ghost Galaxy has been contracting him for help with the rules books and of course helping with judging of Keyforge Celebration, and so yeah, he's awesome for the community.
Right on. A good bear, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I wanted to ask about your stream and podcast, The Bottom of the Beaker. You say it's all about design, strategy, and ducks, but where are all the duck episodes?
We save those deck episodes, and actually, QuickDraw uses them to get the ducks to go to sleep. QuickDraw has a lot of animals, and the ducks really like the content and listening to our voices, but uh, we didn't think they were really great for general audience, so we save it for them. And it's kind of the small batch. The small batch. Maybe someday we'll release it as like a box set or something.
Just think of all the other duck owners. You could have a YouTube duck stream and make millions.
Hmm. But we could do it. We could do it. We one of the recent fun things we added to the Sloppy Labworks site was a team page. I think we'll do kind of faux bios at some point. But every team member gets their own bird randomly assigned. So if you ever get a page where it's all ducks, I'll send you one of the duck episodes. How about that?
Ooh, wow.
There you
Okay.
go. Yep.
Cool. One thing I noticed I forgot is I never asked you like how long can you stream? Because it's already pretty late there. I was thinking of
Mhm.
having one more good question for you, but
I'm good. Kids are asleep. Uh, uh, I might not say like maybe not 2 more hours, but
yeah.
keep going. Yeah.
Well, one thing I was really interested in is what are your hopes for the future of Keyforge? And it's kind of similar to, how do you think Ghost Galaxy's doing so far and kind of what have you seen from them that makes you either, feeling one way or the other, but and then kind of building
Mhm.
on that, what are your hopes for Keyforge?
Ooh, those, yeah, great questions. I mean, I I'm super excited that they picked up the game. I mean, I can't not have that as a backdrop to everything else that I could say about my hopes for the game and their involvement in it. I mean, I think at any point if you had asked me like, "Oh, is Keyforge coming back?" I would have said yes, and I would have believed 100%. But now looking back too, I'm also like, well, yeah, I believe that, but it was also looking kind of bleak. Like, let's be honest,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Um, so uh, the premier level or the organized play formats that are supported, are those the same 4 that I would or the same set that I would have chosen? Not necessarily. Does that mean, do I feel like every format has to be one for me? Like, also, no. I would have chosen maybe some different ones. Uh, and I do view Keyforge as a lifestyle game. That's how I interact with it. I spend more time interacting with Keyforge not playing it than when I am playing it, right? Like looking through DOK, talking with you now, talking with friends,
definitely.
thinking about decks. And so I'll be honest, I don't love Alliance in general because of the way that it changes my relationship to the game as a lifestyle game, right? More so than anything else. Even if you set aside, well, is there balanced gameplay or what have you? Like, okay, those are things maybe we could sort out. Maybe they're messy, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But it also kind of feels like it changes a little bit of the my relationship to the game as a lifestyle game. So that part I don't love also. But here's the thing, right? Ghost Galaxy is trying to appeal to a larger audience than maybe even exists within the game currently. So they're probably going to make some decisions that don't feel great to lots of folks, and they're also in a position where they may have to be confident that they're doing the right thing, even if lots of folks don't approve. And I guess that can be okay. So I'm along for the ride. I'm super happy that they're involved. I feel like we would be having a very different, much gloomier conversation today if they weren't in the picture. Um, so I can't understand that state that enough. Every time I like feel like I'm being a little bit negative about Alliance, and that's not to say like there are lots of ways to play Keyforge that are not Alliance that I enjoy a ton, and you could also probably say fairly that I haven't given it a fair shot playing wise. But even when I do feel like I'm being a little bit down on it, um, I feel kind of like the guy wandering through the desert who's like dying of thirst, and then the savior comes down and says, "Here's your water," and you're like, "Ah, but lemons, please."
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
So,
totally agree.
wow. So I'm super excited that they're there. What I really want to see for the game is to see it grow and thrive, and to have the community uh, build up, but not kind of change and feel, which is a hard thing to do, a really hard thing to do. Um, and I'd really love to see a large organized play structure, and it feels like they are really on board with that and really building that up. Um, and if I'm making wishes, a way to also have a large organized play structure that's not just focused on kind of big money events, but also things that are more like traditional vault tours that have a little bit more of a casual feel. Um, yeah, I mean, they're a small team. They're doing an awesome job. Do I love every decision they made? Like, no, but like that's fair. That's fair. And if they weren't here, we'd be really scratching our heads too. So there's that.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. I definitely try and also think about that. It's like, oh, just think about where we were before Ghost Galaxy, and we didn't know if it was ever coming back. And so it's coming back. We have a new set that's, you know, being printed, plans for
Hmm.
another set after that, new adventure, lots of things that before Ghost Galaxy was announced, wasn't even sure anything would ever happen again. So
Totally.
this community is awesome that we already have, and I think Ghost Galaxy, yeah, they're gonna try some stuff to try and grow the game, and it might not work. It might work, but it's their property. They're gonna try what they think is the best, and we'll just have to see how it goes. But I agree. We need to keep the core of this community with really good kind of principles around it, and being very welcoming, um,
Hmm.
and having the good mindset that a lot of people have. And yeah, I think that'll make it good no matter what.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. The only thing that I would add, though I don't know if it adds much at this point, I guess, is that maybe personally just value uh like in a willingness to experiment and also respond to feedback. And I think they've they've shown both of those, within the constraints of being a super busy small team, you know. Uh, and so I think if you're going to try new things, like that's cool. If you're going to listen to feedback, that's even better. That's the best. Um, and I don't know. I like that. Um, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm very hopeful for Keyforge's future. I think it's got a really bright future ahead of it. I mean, I probably would have said the same thing a year ago, but now, like, you can see it too. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
Um, Good. Well, you'd mentioned you hope there's more kind of, casual vault tours. Like, are you planning if there are regional events or vault tours or anything around you to go to them?
Hmm. I will certainly do my very best to make anything that's within striking distance by car. By plane it gets tricky. Only because of, I don't know, it gets tricky.
Yeah,
Like I was super bummed to miss out on the Keyforge celebration. It was a sort of thing where given 6 more months to plan it, could have made it happen. But I could have made it happen absolutely, but the timing and whatnot just didn't work out.
yeah,
Um, and I'm really anxiously awaiting more details on how Worlds invites can be acquired, and if there's going to be lots of those readily available, or if it's going to be super small, and I'm going to need to, like, mm, make my way over to one of these events, and kind of fly all over to get an invite. Um,
yeah.
so
I
yeah.
I kind of have similar concerns with the upcoming regional vault tours since we don't have kind of anything announced other than the national championship at Gen Con. If they announce it too late, then it'll be like Keyforge Celebration, where a lot of people who wanted to go won't be able to just because they don't have the time to plan it in. So that definitely is a concern, but hopefully we'll hear something soon.
Hmm.
Um,
Are you
and
going to be at the nationals at Gen Con? Yeah.
I'm not, no.
Yeah, it was a tough one for me to swing to. Um, so I'll be missing that one, but I'm really hoping that there's more opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll I'll be lucky if I get to I would say a vault tour. I hope to make it to one, but it depends a lot on the timing. Like I've always already had to make some summer plans, and so
Hmm.
yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah. I mean, looking at yeah, full swing on the, like, the kids own the summer, and we've got, like, every weekend booked for something, right?
Right.
And it's like, oh, can I miss the family vacation to go play cards? It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Yeah. But,
Yeah,
uh, and no, just tough to, no, the earlier you can schedule around it, the better. Yeah.
exactly. Yep. Good. So, I was wondering, yeah, if is there anything else that you want the community to know about you or Sloppy Lab Work or anything else that you want to say?
Well, I had a question for you.
Sure.
Um, so I don't know if anybody had asked you about, what was in your drink, uh, before I did, but I was always curious, and I'm similarly curious, what's with the tie dye, man? You love the tie dye, you know?
Yeah. So my wife is very talented and she knows how to make really cool tie-dye shirts and I wear
Hmm.
them. So I probably now this is a new one actually. I just got this one that she
Ooh,
made
very nice.
in the last week and so I probably have 15 tie-dye shirts. I was just telling her I might need to cut back a little bit and get rid of some of these. um, I actually have made one of them. We did have a tie-dye party where I made one of them, but most of them, all the ones that look good, are definitely hers. And yeah, they're cool. I like them. Um, Lots of them are cool designs. So yeah,
Totally. Totally. It always looks good and always catches my eye. And like I mean, it's clearly a thing that you do each stream, or at least each stream that I can recall having noted. I probably would have maybe just not noticed if it was a stream that you didn't do it, maybe. But
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't necessarily do it every stream, but I do sometimes think about it because usually I change, after work and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be streaming tonight, and sometimes I'm like, ooh, it's an NKFL match. What tie-dye shirt matches? What shirt do I need to win this match? And I do like, so I have a AOA deck. It's not in my NKFL lineup, but I won a store championship with it back in like the AOA Coda era,
Oh, cool.
and it's kind of like a yellow Archon, and it's Brobnar, Dis, and Shadows. And I have this tie-dye shirt that's kind of like black and yellow and maybe a little bit of red, and it totally kind of reminds me of that deck for some reason. And so sometimes I have like really good memory and like association with that deck. I'm like, ooh, I gotta wear this shirt because that'll give me like, extra plain luck.
Nice. So Quick Draw has the streets that get associated with different decks, and you got the
Ooh,
shirts. I like it.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, very cool.
Thanks,
Well,
Dinobot.
you
Yeah, I'll definitely
yeah,
let my wife know. It is a very cool design. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely going into the streaming lineup.
I dig it. It looks good. Looks good. Right on.
Excellent.
Well, you'll pass on the compliments. Yeah, if she has like a store, you'll have to like put it up or something. I don't know, but it's sweet. It's
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. She doesn't really necessarily sell tie dye, so yeah. But I have a friend from Vermont who used to wear nothing but tie dye, and they had so many of them. Well, I guess it wasn't me because I don't live in Vermont, or haven't lived there. But that's cool.
Mhm.
Okay. So yes, thank you so much for your time. I know it's late on the East Coast. That's the one sad thing. I wish I was more central that I'd have better accessibility to kind of all the time zones. But thank you for making the time late in your day. Really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you bumping yours up earlier for me as well. I mean, this was a lot of fun. I think it's great thing that you're doing and making the effort to kind of bring some folks in. The excuse me, the NKFL folks, the Nordic Keyforge podcast folks, did a survey not long ago about the different types of content that they could put out and seeing what folks wanted to see or hear. Um, and I was absolutely one of the people who voted for like, oh, more about the community members, more about the folks who are promoting things and being like, I want to learn about the people and like the community is great. So like let's highlight that, so
Yeah. No, I agree. That's something that being in it, we all know and we love. And I think, a few podcasts have done it well. Help from Future Self every now and then. Call of Discovery had lots of great interviews on there. But it's always worth having more because it is a great community. And one thing I do hope to do is have people on here that haven't necessarily been on kind of other content, so we get to learn about new people because there's lots of people doing cool stuff that we don't necessarily hear about. Um, awesome. So there's a solar eclipse happening right now. Where's that happening, Ketzer? I didn't know that. I
thought it
like
was
solar
just night.
eclipses. Yeah, it must be in another part of the world. But speaking of guests for this, my next episode, I'm going to have somebody that you do know. In 3 weeks and a day, on May 11th, I'm going to be having Zach from Call of Discovery as my guest on episode 2 of xoquetails. And so, really excited to have Zach on. I hope you all join us. If you have any questions, please send them to me. Email me, ping me on Discord, or bring it up in hashtag DataForge on the ABR Discord. Really excited to talk about Zach. He just exudes charisma and charm. Got to talk to him a little bit at Keyforge Celebration. He's a really good guy and has done a lot of community. So it'll be really interesting to hear what he's up to nowadays.
Totally. Very cool. I think I played against Zach in a vault tour once.
Oh.
A sealed vault tour. Zach played a turn 1. I could be misremembering, but you'll have to ask him in 3 weeks. But he played turn 1 Dusk Witch, and I didn't kill it. And and then on the next turn, there were 3 Sutterkins on the other side of the board. Yeah. But you'll have to ask him, corroborate the story. He won't remember me, but maybe we'll remember the time where some fool allowed the Dusk Witch to live.
I will totally ask him about that. I love it. Cool. So the eclipse is happening in Australia. That's awesome, Ketzer. And yeah, we'll have to get an update from Ashron. Cool, and nice to see you, ZForge. Thanks for watching. Cool. Well, I think that does it for our first episode of xoquetails. Again, thank you so much for JT. This has been fun getting to know more about you and to just talk some Keyforge, talk some community, and I really appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Okay. Next week we will be back with another episode of DataForge and go over fresh marks and all the normal stuff. And tomorrow I will be having my ABR match, which is Archon Best of 3. And then finally, Sunday night I will be playing JDG 314 for my NKFL Diamond match. So I should be streaming all of that. So I hope to see you there. Should be a lot of fun. And yeah. Thanks everybody for watching.
This is Keyforge.
This is Keyforge, and I'll see y'all later. Thanks, JT. Take care.
Peace out. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.